This is Marty Muis. Marty and I have been friends, well, before even Alan was born. We started the same day selling cars at Burlington Toyota. My dad was very wise. He didn't want to hire me. So he sent me to Burlington to sell cars. Where did you go? Roy Foss, right?
Roy Foss, yeah.
So, and
Tough getting in here. You guys are lucky.
yeah. So Marty's up for the weekend. Marty's recently married.
Congratulations.
Marty works about, he'll tell you 3. It's probably 2 days a week. He sold 411 cars last year. I'm not, well, a lot were one at a time. We've got a lot of commercial biz, right? So Marty's just going to share with you how he processes deals, treats customers, etc. So I don't want to steal any of your thunder. Go right ahead.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, it's about 38 years ago. The only difference when David and I started the same day, and his Jack at that time sent him down there, is that David didn't really need to sell, whether he did or didn't really matter, because he showed up with a Z28 demo from McGee Chef. They had me in a little Toyota Corolla, and I did have to sell because else I wasn't needed. That was probably the difference. So I've been with Queenston Shell. I don't know if you guys have ever done dealer trades with Queenston in Hamilton. I've been with them for 31 years. And I started on the floor like probably, how many people here are in the sales department? Almost everybody here, yeah? Every morning when we wake up, we're unemployed. Like every morning, it's just the way it is every morning. That's how our industry is. We're unemployed and we have to sing for our supper every day. And it's, some people sing better than others, and that's probably the biggest difference between a person that does really well in our business and a person that doesn't. Dave and I were talking a little while ago about just the concept and the theory of sales and what makes one person better than another. And we talk about what's a professional, what's not a professional. And I think we all realize when we're on the show floor, we can see who is and who isn't. Some of the traits that the guy that or the girl that does well and the guy and girl that doesn't do well. I'm going to share a couple of those things, just observations that I've had over the last bunch of years to watch people that either get it or don't get it and what the difference are. But the psychology of sales, and it doesn't really even matter if you're selling real estate or you're selling houses, or grass or a sod, that is, or anything like that. The sale is made when the transfer of trust happens. And I think that's the biggest thing that we have to try to figure out is when does that transfer of trust happen? I call it the moment of truth. When you trust the person that's sitting across from you that they're not going to take what you've just shared with them over the last 20 minutes or 2 hours or whatever it is, and your pricing, and that they're going to take that and take it all over town and shop it. When you trust they're not going to do that, now you're getting places. They also have to trust you in what you shared with them, the things that you said that the car will do, the pricing that you put together, the things, the after sale and after service part that you say you're going to do. If they trust that you're just not blowing smoke and they feel that that is legit, at that point, the transfer of trust has happened. And when that happens, at that point, the sale is made. And it's a major component of any sale in any industry is when that transfer of trust. They'll give you 1,000 different excuses of why they can't buy. I got to check with my wife. I got to check with my partner. I got to think about it. I want to look at some other models and stuff like that. What they're saying to you is, I haven't heard enough yet. You haven't shown me that I trust you, your store, and so I'm going to just back up for a minute, whether that be for a day or 2 days or 5 days, or you never see them again. What typically has happened in that is that they haven't trusted what you've said and all the things that you've brought to the table. Sometimes we, as salespeople, we blow them off. This guy's a goof. This guy's, I don't know why, he's just wasting my time. And we don't trust that guy or that person that's sitting in front of us, whether it be a couple of business, doesn't matter. We don't trust them. And when that breaks down, at that point, you don't have a deal. there is no deal. That doesn't mean they're not going to buy. It just means we're not getting it. That's the problem. Because somebody's going to buy, or so that guy's going to buy, or that girl's going to buy somewhere, whether it's in this town or the next town, whether it's a General Motors product or whether it be a Nissan or Toyota, it doesn't matter. They're going to buy. What they're looking for is they're looking for a salesperson. And at the end of the day, it's a salesperson that they buy. Yes, we sell steel and rubber, but at the end of the day, General Motors, in my opinion, is a better truck, for example, than the F-150 or the F-250. You know, our SUVs are better than the others. But at the end of the day, everybody does pretty darn good. If you look at the market, you'll see who they're all. Everybody's selling cars, so it's not. We don't have gold nuggets here, and nobody else, and everything else is trash. That's not what's going on out here. So when somebody makes a decision on a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 purchase, it's because they've trusted what's happened, and they said, "Yeah, I'm ready to make a deal," because they will make a deal. It's funny sometimes. I remember back when I first started, you'd take a sales call and you'd say to the guy, "Oh, yeah, got and show him a car." And you come in, and you call him 2 weeks later. So he's in, let's say, looking at a little small 4-cylinder for his daughter because she's going to university. You call him back 2 weeks later, a week later, and say, "Hey, Chuck, what's going on with that?" "Oh man, I bought a station wagon." "You bought a what?" "A station wagon." And it's not because of anything. Like you say, "Oh, but I thought you were looking for like a little 4-cylinder, for your daughter to, be safe." "Yeah, well, I got this guy, and he said that the station wagon was really strong and powerful, and I bought it for about $4,000 less than what your price was, and I figured even if I spend an extra $1,000 in gas over the next 2 or 3 years, I'm ahead of the game." So what did he buy? He bought a salesperson. Somebody was smart enough to catch on what was going on, said, "Hey, I got this over here," and the guy bought it. He bought a salesperson. He didn't buy the car. And that's what we sometimes forget, is that they have to buy what we have as well as what the store has. This name of this dealership is very strong in the whole Ontario community, but certainly it's very strong locally for you guys as well. You're involved with a lot of different functions. So it's nice to be able to say, "I work at McGee," because that's a name, it's a brand name that you can be proud of, and you don't have to be hanging your hat or behind your head. You don't have to do that. You can be strong and powerful about that. So I just want to talk about the word close, because we always are trying to close. First thing is confidence. If you're not confident when you're first talking to the person, if you just had somebody say no to you, and then someone said no to you, and then somebody said no to you, and you've had 3 or 4 no's in a row, and you haven't made a deal, it's hard sometimes to have that confidence. And sometimes you'd be better served to just pass and maybe give that client to somebody else. Because if you're not confident, again, they've got to buy the salesperson. If they don't feel strong that what you're telling them is the way it is, and you're not confident about that you've got the product, that you can put the price point together, that you can make the delivery on time, that you can work all of those numbers to make the math work, and you're not confident, there's a real good chance that they're going to go elsewhere again because they're buying the salesperson. The other thing is the language. Everybody that walks in our door comes from a different walk of life. Some people do very well, some people don't do well at all, but every time we forget, it's their new car. Whether it's a $7,500 used car, Adam, that you got on your lot that just came in as an as-is piece, they worked like a son of a gun to try to have that $7,500. So it's their first new car, their new car. Or if it's a brand new Cadillac, they got sent up there for $60,000 or $80,000. But each person needs to be treated different, and you have to be a chameleon to some extent, and to show that you're talking their language, if you will. Finding common ground. We've got a fellow that works in our store that delivered belly-to-belly retail units, about 290 units last year. And he's 64 years old. You guys have met him, Billy's that you may have heard that name, some of his. He finds common ground like nobody's business. When he talks to somebody, within 4 or 5 minutes, he finds something about that person, whether it's where they work, where they live, and he knows a guy that's on that street. Or if they work, does he know, they've got somebody that he knows that lives, that works there, or he plays hockey, do you know this guy? Somehow he finds that common ground. He finds it immediately. And sometimes we pass on that type of thing because we're all talking about how many bolts are in the bumper of the car. Well, sometimes that's not important. Sometimes it's about transfer of trust, selling yourself, make sure that they're buying you. And by finding a common ground, all of a sudden, you're that much closer to having that happen. So regardless of who that person is or where they are in their station in life, you've got to be able to, as a chameleon, work yourself to where they are and get their language and speak their language to make the sale. Obligation. We have an obligation to the dealers, and we also have an obligation to the client to put our best foot forward each and every single time. Again, if we're not obligated, or if we don't feel that obligation that we don't have to give our best foot forward, and we just flip the guy the keys and tell him to go for a test drive and come back, and that's not the way this is supposed to be. I'm going to get to something in a minute. How many people still remember making a telephone call through a phone booth? Most, right? It was 25 cents, right?
It used to be a dime.
Yeah. It's 25 cents, or it was, and I just don't even know if they use them anymore. Adam, you wouldn't know anything about this, but we used to use phone booths. That's right.
Didn't know what the hell it was.
That's right. Yeah. This would look good in my basement. If we put 24 cents into that phone booth, the call wouldn't go through. If we put 22 cents in that phone booth, the call wouldn't go through. What I'm talking about in this case, the obligation that we have is we're obligated to give our best foot forward in our sales process. If we do all of the things correctly, which is putting 25 cents in the phone booth, the call will go through. And that's the difference between a professional and non-professional that we talked about. The guy or girl that's a non-professional doesn't go on the test drive. Says, I gotta go talk to somebody in service. I just saw them. I haven't seen them in a while. I hear, folks, you just go for the drive. Well, if it's a used car, and let's say there's something wrong with the speaker in the back, how do we address that when we're not in the car to address it with them? So they get back, they say, hey, the car's really great, but we got another 5 or 6 to look at, and we'll talk to you later. Because they haven't bought the salesperson, the transfer of trust hasn't happened, we haven't been there. What a great time to be in the car while they're driving to sell yourself. I don't tell you, this is how great we are, but certainly tell them the pillars of your organization, what you're all about. I don't know that you need to get into the horsepower and the gas mileage and spew a bunch of facts and stuff like that. I don't think that's what we're talking about. Talk about transferring of trust again. What a great time to do it when it's just those two and you in the back and you go for a 20-minute drive or a 10-minute drive or whatever. You're building rapport. You're trying to get that transfer of trust. Make a couple of jokes, you laugh, this type of thing. But too many people don't put the 25-cent call in. They're taking the shortcut. And we talked about that. It's just lazy is what it is. Bottom line, we can say whatever we want. It's just being lazy. You just don't want to get in the car because you'd rather go do, do you want to check the score? Whatever you want to do. Being a professional, after you've made the sale, how often do we get there and the delivery's set for 3 o'clock? We get there and somebody buggered up and they didn't get the plates. Well, that can happen. A true professional doesn't let that happen. He or she inspects what they expect, then they trust and they validate. They trust that the licensing person has done their job, but they make sure that they have. How often have we got there when all of a sudden you get there at 3 o'clock for a 3 o'clock delivery and you're supposed to put a bug deflector on and somebody forgot to put it on. Somehow and no one told you and it's their fault. Everybody's doing this. But bottom line, it's our fault because we didn't inspect what we expected. We didn't trust and we didn't validate. That's the difference between professional and non-professional. The professional will call the day before, call this part. Hey, did you get that part in? Did you put this? Okay, are the plates there? Is insurance confirmed? That's what a professional does. A non-professional just gets there and shows up and says, sorry, folks. And then you're scurrying around, the customer's sitting there, and you go, can I get your coffee? We're going to get this all sorted out. That looks bad. Looks really bad. And we've all seen it. I don't know if we've all been guilty of it, but there's certainly, I think in this room who does that more often than others. And that person that doesn't do it is the person that's not getting as big a paycheck. One other thing that we talked about, David, you and I talked about last night, is speaking of paychecks. I'm just going to get off on.
I'd love to hear what you talked about last night, mate.
I'm not drinking anymore, Jay. I haven't drank a long time. I'm not in the show anymore. About paychecks, and again, I'm talking about the difference between a professional and a non-professional. The non-professional just wants to make their deal, and they want to close this deal because they want to get paid next Friday. The professional, they not only want to get this deal next Friday, but they also want to get the next deal, and the one that's in behind that, and the one that's in behind that. If all you're worried about is just making that one deal, your clients will sense that, and that transfer of trust won't happen. They'll say, this guy's just trying to make me say yes to this thing so he can get paid next whenever your payroll is. The person that doesn't come across that way, and I don't mean that you have to be soft and let people go. I'm not talking about that. I still think you want to have control and you still want to try to make your deal. But I think it's important to not worry about next Friday. Next Friday's going to get sorted. I think most people have enough money here that they can get through next Friday. But you can't let your clients know that you got to have that deal. You want to be looking at the one for 2 years from now, and 3 years from now, and 4 years from now. I'm going to get into leasing just first in a second. That's part of also having that rotation rolling. But I think that you want to keep working to get that next deal and the next deal and the next day. And I'm going to get down to the repeat referral. I'm going to speak about that and how important it is. And by the way, stuff that I'm talking about here, I think most of you have probably heard most of it. A lot of times, though, you're seeing a speaker that hasn't done it in 20 years. Like, I made a commission the day before, in fact, yesterday morning before I left. So we're still doing it every single day, making $200, $400, $1,000, whatever it works. I mean, they're all big. You put them in a big old barrel and you stir them all up. And hopefully at the end of the week, at the end of the month, you made a good living. You've got an obligation to make sure that that all gets done. We have the solutions. A lot of times when it comes to math, somebody will give you some cockamamie excuse of why they can't do it. As soon as my kids finish school and I'm going to come back, I'm going to buy that car, or I've just got to pay off my visa, and as soon as that's done, I'm going to go ahead and say yes to that car. We have solutions. If you get together with your sales manager, you get together with your business manager, we can overextend on a car. If the car's $20,000, we can roll their visa on top of that and make all of a sudden the purchase is $23,000. You can do that inside of a lease. There's all kinds of, if they're giving you those kinds of roadblocks, you can be creative. You can have the solutions and make that thing happen. If you want to get involved with your business manager, get involved with your sales manager, there's ways to make that happen, and we have the solution. The last thing that we have, what am I doing here? Excitement. I saw it right? Is that right? If you're excited about what you've got going on, if you're excited about coming to work, and you're excited about how this day is going to play out, remember you're singing for your supper, that if you're excited, your clients will feel excited. And again, that transfer trust. If they're excited, you're excited, we're all excited. It's funny because the day that when you make your deal, and the day they come to pick up the car, everybody's smiling, everybody's laughing because we're excited. It's their new car. Everybody's fired up about that. But we have to have that all the time. At the early part of the presentation, the middle part of the presentation, the end of the presentation, on the delivery, on the follow-up, we got to be doing that. If they feel that, because people love to do business with successful people. If the person's not successful that you're doing business with, if your realtor shows up in an old piece of junk car, you know that guy or girl's not doing as well as he could or should be. I'm not saying the guy has to be ostentatious and show up in a Rolls. That's not what I'm talking about. But you want to show some sort of level of success. How do we present ourselves? How do we dress? How do we show on a daily basis? And we got to have excitement, but you also got to present yourself in that exact same way. Rolling over that just for a second, I want to get into the repeat and referral. I think we would all agree that a repeat sale or referral sale, what typically happens to that margin? Does it go up or down? No, it's always up. It's always up. David, you and I talked about last time, talking about putting them in the elevator. The first deal, and then the next time, because the transfer of trust has happened, they just call us, hey, I'd like to get another car. You don't have to sit there and say, well, I can try to watch it because you're going to take me all over town. I got to watch. Hey, boss, what'd you take? Hey, boss, what'd you take? We don't want to know what'd you take, because what'd you take means usually the margins here. And if you have to have so many touches every single month to make a sale, if the less touches you have, the better chance you are of making a bigger profit. And this is where it sits right here, is the repeat referral. In a sales call, if you take a call, the guy says, yeah, I saw that 2013 Impala in the newspaper there, you still got that car? Or, hey, my name is Sam Smith, you don't know me, but Joe Johnson lives next door, and he's telling me about this Impala you got over there. Is there a way I can come in and look at it? Which call do we want? We know which call that is. So we want to get that repeat. We want to get the referral. Again, the biggest reason is because the transfer of trust I'm not saying it's completed, but the ball is rolling in the right way. You've already had that chance You've done well by their neighbor, by their sister, by their cousin, by their uncle, whoever that person is, you've done well by them. So they've already got someone's already introduced you as the person to talk to about getting a car. You're the car guy or girl. Someone's already introduced that. So now you've got that chance, you've got a head start, if you will, on the transfer of trust. And that's why when you do the repeat and the referral, you're not fighting over price more often than not. You're not doing that because the transfer of trust has already happened. Another thing I want to talk about is I was in a restaurant in Burlington, a few years ago, and I walked in and the lady that owned the place had a little button on her shirt and it said, "Yes, we can. Yes, of course we can." And I said, that's an interesting button. Tell me about that. She says, "Sir, when you walk into a restaurant, how often is it that you want to sit over in that table over there and they tell you that that section's closed? It's not because it's closed because there's roof leaking. It's just closed because Martha doesn't want to, or Sam doesn't want to walk the other 7 steps to serve you. How often you go when you want to exchange your soup for a salad? Oh, we can't do that." They can do it. They just choose not to. And the reason why they choose not to is because they're lazy. Professional, non-professional. They're lazy. They don't want to have that's an extra 7 steps to go see you over there. Now you got to call the cook and tell them, "You got to put the salad here, you got the chicken in it." It's just those extra steps they're not prepared to do. The question we have to ask ourselves, are we prepared or not prepared to do the extra steps that it takes to make the sale? A professional says, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good to do that. I don't mind doing those extra steps because if I do all those extra steps, there's going to be a deal there." And not only is there that deal, but there's a deal in behind that. In the last over 20 years, I have not taken one up, not one ever in 20 years. Every bit of my business is repeat and referral. And because of that, we talked about time management. I can do it 2 or 3 days a week. But I set up my appointments, and when I set my appointments up, I set them up on a quarter hour. I don't set them up and, "Oh, come on by, I'm going to be in all day Tuesday." I don't do that. That's not the right play. I have 2 openings. One's in the morning, one's in the afternoon. I have at 11:15 and I have at 3:45, which is better for you. The reason why we go the quarter of an hour, we are professionals. When we go to the doctor's office and our appointment's for 1:10, we make sure that we're there at 1:10. The doctor doesn't book appointments. "Oh, come on in anytime you want on a Tuesday afternoon." He's professional, as are we. Why should we discount ourselves and our skill set and say, "Oh, yeah, just come on in Tuesday afternoon"? In fact, actually, no, you know what? I'm bowling. Come in. Let me see. Hang on, I gotta check my schedule. No, Wednesday morning. Come in anytime. You can't do that. That's not what a professional does. I have 2 openings on Thursday. I can see you at 9:15, or I can also see you later on in the morning at 11:45, which is best for you. Quarter hour, quarter hour, quarter hour. They respect your time. You're all of a sudden a professional, and they realize that you're a busy person, that you're on the quarter hour. By doing that, you've got so much time to work with. You want to help them do all the things that you want to do, but they also realize that you're busy, and they like to do business with a successful person. Walks in with somebody you know that, folks. I'm going to go get that right now and know exactly what it is because you've done a stock walk that day. Why don't we do it? Because we're lazy. Bottom line, we're lazy. We just got a fresh bunch of. If you just picked a bunch of cars up from the auction or wherever, what is it that he's got? What is the kilometer? Where are we on this one? Okay, that's great. Okay, well that one's got a 3rd row seat. Know that. So you can just go like this here. You're saying, "Hang on a second. I just gotta go through my list here." And people aren't looking to go through any list. They want to touch it. They want to feel it. So they want to know where it is. Where are the keys? So you're not looking like a bumbling, stumbling fool to run around like that. Be a professional. The professional person knows where that car is or that truck is. They know where the price point is. They know all that because they've done their walk. They've done their look. They know what all that is. That's what the professional does. The non-professional doesn't. Paperwork, licensing, and accessories, we talked about that type of thing, making sure that all gets done. Are we calling a week later? Are we calling a month later? When are we calling these people again? Do we let them send them off to pasture? Is that what we do? The non-professional, lazy person just lets them go and says, "I made my deal." It's so important if you can get that deal and the one in behind it, and the one in behind it, and the one in behind it. That's what makes this whole thing tick. Is this here, repeat referral. Get those other ones because that transfer trust is already, you've already got what we talked about, the ball's already rolling on that. What we do, Billy and I have done this for over 30 years. We call each and every one of our clients on their birthday, not the car's birthday, their birthday. And it's a funny thing, but it just gives us a chance to connect each and every single time that their birthday comes up. Just call them, just say hello. And by the way, the one question I'm not asking is how's the car? I don't care. I care, but I don't care. Because as soon as I say how's the car, I'm now open myself. Marty, now the guy's going, oh, he wants to, yeah, you know, actually this one time when I was at about 120 kilometers, there's a sign. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm just wanting to say hi. If that's a big enough issue, we'll make all that happen. We'll sort that out if it's a big enough issue. But if you're just looking for someone to give you bad dialogue, you can find that as well. We always want to call, just say hello, keep the name out there. Do you want to be the car guy or you want to be the car girl? The other thing that we talk about, professional, non-professional, and I see this all the time, and you guys will see it as well, is on the showroom floor, are we talking about our successes or are we talking about our failures? Because I used to call it the coffee club, and I'm not sure if you have coffee clubs here in Canada as well. You all get together and you talk about that idiot that just came in and wasted your time. Right? And you know, I can't believe the guy showed up. He didn't even have his wife, and he's talking about his car, and I tried to show him the colors, and he said he'd have to go chat. What an idiot that guy was. And then they talk about it for 5 minutes. Oh, you think that's bad? You should see the guy I had, the other day. He was even worse. I mean, he didn't want to go for a test drive. He just wanted my bottom line price. He told me to roll the manager. That's the guy, right? And we're talking about our failures. So where does that put us as far as where we are in excitement? If all you've done is just talked about a bunch of failures, the next guy that walks in, you're still thinking about the 3 or 4 or 5 things that your coffee club has told you are all bad. Why don't we get together and talk about our successes? Why don't we say, you know what? This guy here, he came in, I talked to him, we went for a test drive, I introduced him to the manager, I introduced him to the business manager, and he's picking his car up Thursday. Why don't we talk about that? Because that's better for excitement, it's better for your headspace, and it's going to make your head clear. You don't want to be surrounded by all that negative stuff. It happens. We hear no's. That's what our business is. We hear no's. That's who we are. That's what we do. We hear lots of them. Can you get rid of them and go with the yeses? And the best way to get those yeses is to hang out with the guys who have a bunch of yeses. And that's having that excitement because you're excited. The other thing that I talked about to get this repeat and referral, if we want to try to make a mediocre living, we'll just stand at the door and wait for the door to swing and hope that people are going to come in. The true professionals in our industry, and I think most industries, are the people that get out into the community. These are people that get involved with the Kiwanis Club. These are people that get involved with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. These are people that get involved with, get in a bowling league or a bowling team or coach soccer, coach hockey, or get involved with that. And it's amazing. Oh, Charlie, where'd you get that guy? Oh, his son plays on my hockey team. There you go. That's that center of influence. We want to have a center of influence. When that guy comes in, you've already built your trust because you've already been on a couple of hockey trips together, you've been at the arena together, you've already got that development of the trust. In our industry, and a lot of industries, but in our industry, if you can find a way to get involved in the community, whether it's through your church at a Bible study or anything like that, that's where your center of influence is going to come. They will bring you business, and then it just mushrooms after that. So I think it's also important to get in the community, be part of the community. These guys will help you out. They'll support you on different things that you need to help and support to get your name out there as well as the dealership's name, and that will pay you back tenfold. I've been very blessed to be involved in the community, in our community back home, and that's been a big part of how we've developed our business. It's been that. So I think we know who the professionals are in this room. We know who the people that aren't professionals. I guess if I have one thing to say is, we all have it in us to be more professional. We all have it in us to be able to find out what that transfer of trust, to earn that person's business. We have it in us to do that. It's whether we choose to or not. And the people that choose to be the bigger professional, they're getting the bigger paycheck. They're being able to do it. And if you manage your time wisely, we're talking about trying to set up your appointments and stuff like that, you set them up and you can work it to go a couple, 3 days a week. Leasing helps that as well. When you're doing leasing, the people have to come back to see you in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years. That's a big part of it. Do not discount that. When GMF comes in here and has a meeting, pay attention to that, because your cycle will just continue to go. If they have to come and see you after 3 years or 4 years, sometimes it's even easier to get them out when they're into a lease. When you have them on an 84-month or a 72-month contract, that sometimes is also, in my opinion, it's not a smart play. I don't think it's a good play on your part to put a person into a 72 or 84-month lease. Invariably, they get the buzz after 2 or 3 years or 4 years. They want to try to trade back out of it. Unfortunately, we've all seen it. You know, they're into the loan is 25,000, the appraisal, shame on you, is 15,000. And now you got to try to find $10,000, right? You might be able to find it the first time, but the second time when you've already buried it and then buried it again, it's awful hard to do. If you put a person into a 60-month term, yes, the payments are maybe bi-weekly, another $30 or $50 or whatever that is. At the end of the day, I think they'll be able to chew on it, talk about obligation, and it just makes the trade cycle for them, and by the way, for us, way easier if you can get that trade cycle happening that much quicker. And that's why I think leasing is important, because it's a built-in trade cycle. They have to come and see you in 3 years, 4 years time. Even if they buy it out at the end, so be it. But at least you have a chance to have your face in front of them again one more time. So I think, but if you at least even get half of your 6 or half of your 8 that you did 3 years or 4 years ago, you've already got a head start on everybody else. And that's where leasing is perfect. The payment's the same. They make a payment, whether it be to GM Financial or to the bank. They're both buildings right downtown Toronto. They're making the same payment for the same car. It's a better way to go. If you buy a banana and you went to the store and asked for a banana, but you said, I don't want to buy the peel, I just want to buy the banana, they would laugh at you. But in essence, what you're doing when you're leasing a vehicle, if the vehicle is, just for fun, $25,000, at the end of 40 years it comes back at 10, what, in essence, the person that's leasing is only paying for this component. They're just paying for the banana. This here, from here down, is the peel. So the person that leases, he gets or she gets the best 3 or 4 years of the car's life. The person that buys and is into this thing for 4 years or 5 years or 6 years, this is where all the trouble comes. This is where all the brake work and this and that and all the rest of it comes into play. If you're buying just the banana and not the peel, you're in a better position. That's your obligation to tell them about that, and I believe in a lot of cases that's the solution to that. Just buy the banana, do not buy the peel. And
That's excellent. I like that. That's good.
thank you. Yeah, so that's what leasing is all about at the end of the day. And the other thing is, they're only paying tax. If you're a business, and you guys got lots of business guys, they're only paying tax on this component. They never pay tax on this component. Remember, they walk away from it. The person that buys this, he pays or she pays tax on this full amount. And if there's interest attached to it, they're also paying tax on the amount, as well as they're paying tax. They're paying interest on the tax component. On a lease, you don't pay interest on the tax. You're only paying interest on this component. So there's another savings as for a business person. So do not discount leasing. If there's been one success in ours, it's been leasing, and that is powerful if you can present it that way. And the other thing, talking about the solution, is you get excited when you at the beginning of every single month you say, or in 3 months out you say, oh wow, I got 6 people coming due, I got 9 people coming due, I got 12 people coming due. And you already know that you're going to have those built-in people. You don't have to wait at the door for those 9 people to show up, because you already got them. You already know they're coming in. If you've kept in contact, if you've made your calls, whether it be a birthday call or whatever, if you said hello to the service, that type of thing, they know they're coming up. You've already had a chat with them. You've already expected, hey, this is what we're going to be looking at in 90 days or 6 months when this thing comes up. And by the way, I think we might be able to do something sooner. I'm just going to share one more thing, Jay.
Yeah.
Hello, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm just wondering if you got my page and if you did.
Didn't hear me. Well,
Oh, Nikki.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
'cause I'm thinking, oh,
Sorry.
yeah. Sorry, I have a fleet delivery this morning.
One little tip that I think that is kind of a fun thing. When somebody has a trade-in and the guy says, I've got a 2014 Volvo. We don't want to hear that, do we? The professional says, that's fantastic. What color is it? Oh, it's blue. Is it automatic? Yeah. Is it a leather? Yeah. I have a buyer for that car. Now, he's been to 6 other stores. No one's ever said they've got a buyer for that car. For whatever car. It doesn't matter whatever car that is. I have a buyer for that car. Everywhere they go, oh, we're going to have to get our manager. He's going to get you, we're going to call some wholesalers and we're going to give you a wholesale number. Nobody wants to hear that. When we sell anything, we don't want wholesale. Not when we're selling. When we're buying, we do. We don't hear it here. And yet I hear it all the time. The non-pro says, well, I'll show it to my used car manager and he'll call some wholesalers and they'll tell you what that number is. Folks, you stay right there. You tell me that thing's got leather and it's got a sunroof? We have a buyer for that car. I'll be right back. Now, we don't tell them that's our buyer. We have a buyer for that car. They haven't heard that all day. They hear, oh, we're going to give you a wholesale amount, we're going to give you we're going to call a bunch of people and we'll look on the internet and we'll try to get it at the bottom number. No, folks, we're good. I got a buyer for that car. If you got a buyer for that car, they go, wow, I got a buyer for that car. You haven't talked numbers yet. We'll sort the numbers out later, but you have a buyer.
Excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going, wow, because the last 2 or 3 times they said, oh, this is my trade, they go, oh shit, he's got a dent in the bumper and the tires are no good and there's a hole in the seat from, I got a buyer for that car. We always got a buyer for that car. It's right there. Right there. So just in summation, I think if we stay with this, concentrate on this and this, and do your best to find common ground and to build a rapport. And once you build a rapport, you have a transfer of trust. And when that transfer of trust happens, you'll make your sale. The next one will be easy. The one behind that will be easy. Their friends will be easy. And the next one behind that is to where if you're dealing with some of the companies, they'll just say, hey, just get me one just like the one last time and I'll be in Thursday to get it. How would that call be? If you build a rapport, you've got the transfer of trust, they trust you, you trust them, you have to be able to deliver on what you've said, you got to talk, you got to be able to walk the walk. You just can't tell them you're going to do all these things and then not do it. You've got to, as a professional, continue to do those things. But if you continue to do that, your business will all be repeat and all be referral, and it works out that you won't have to work as hard because you're managing your time correctly. You're setting up your appointments and you're working just the hours that you need to be. Because we have a lot of times in any given day that we waste time. We all do. It's a waste of time. Well, if you make all of that time that you are there productive, you're going to be better for it. The dealership will be better for it. You'll be excited, and you won't have to worry about next Friday. You already know that you're going to have big paychecks 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 6 years from now, because your phone will ring. Your phone will continue to ring. And that's all we ever want is your phone to ring. We want to be excited about it. We want to be able to have the clients trust us, and we need to trust the client. When that happens, we've made our sale. Guys, thank you. Girls, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Normally at this time we would give the speaker a big gift or something like that. That isn't happening. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.